Hi folks, I'm Doc and welcome to the Artificers Guild, the home of all things Artifact. We honestly thought that getting a tournament live streamed would be the best bit of news in a long time for Artifact. However, Valve have outdone themselves with a huge FAQ that covers everything from starter decks to how much draft will cost and so much more. So let's take a look at this crazy announcement. Along with tomorrow's Beyond the Summit preview tournament, we'll be opening Artifact pre-orders on Steam. We've been combing the community for questions about everything that's available at launch, and now have a handy FAQ. Enjoy the tournament coverage on steam.tv and keep posting your questions. This post by Brandon R on Steam is incredible. It goes over so many aspects of the game, some of which we knew, but most of which are brand new. As mentioned, there is a tournament being streamed, and I'll post links to that in the comments or description below if you want to go and watch. And if you want to watch with some friends, then feel free to jump into our Discord, as we'll be able to watch there together. Before we get into the questions, and let me just quickly point out that pre-order is going to be available. You're going to be able to pre-order the game, so anyone that wants the game, keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting links to the pre-order via my Twitter if I can. Now, my good friend and lore master here on the channel, Simon, pointed out that the character we see on the introduction panel is probably Jelixia, the card faun, who we saw on all of the house quotes from packs, and we continue to see referenced elsewhere as well. I guess she'll have a huge role to play in the lore of Artifact and how it fits into the world of Dota, which, once we know more, you'll be able to find out on this channel, so make sure you sub to not miss out on that information. Anyway, on to question 1. What do I get when I buy Artifact? Your purchase includes 10 card packs, 5 event tickets, and 2 complete starter decks. The 2 starter decks are Red Green Parola and Blue Black Control. We'll take a look at those decks in a sec. Let's explain the purchase first. The 10 card packs, as we already knew, were valued at $2 each and contain 12 cards. This in itself is $20, which is the price of the game, so everything else is effectively extra free stuff. The 5 event tickets will let you enter certain draft and gauntlet modes to win prizes. These event tickets are actually quite a big deal, which we'll cover when we get to that question. So finally, the 2 starter decks. We've known that these are coming for a while now, but I didn't expect to see exactly every card that would be included so soon. The first deck is Red Green Parola, and if the 2 decks were to go head to head with no adaptions, I think this would be the winner. I'll leave the deck list on screen, but I'm not going to read through every single card, so you can pause the video if you need to read them, or follow the links in the description for the deck list pages themselves. What we want to be looking out for are cards in these lists that we would really like to have in other deck lists, as these decks themselves aren't exactly competitive. Which, while I'm on that subject, I understand why you did it, Valve, but you can make a more competent deck out of commons than what we have here. That being said, there are plenty of awesome cards that they have given us through these decks that we will 100% be using in the other decks. Starting with our heroes, Lycan is fantastic, and you'll see a lot of Lycan in the first few weeks of Artifact. Ursa and Sven are also both alright, but there are definitely better alternatives in red. For the rest of the deck, we get 2 Bronze Legionnaires, which is fantastic. Until we get some Stonehall Elites, these will be auto-includes for us. Staying on the low mana creep theme, we also get 2 Rebel Decoys, which can be a great addition to any deck. Mobility can be a deciding factor of a game after all. Outside of signature cards at the 4 mana level, we get 1 Clear the Deck and 2 Say Duelists, and these are my favourites of this group. But not necessarily the perfect cards. They are certainly some of the best in this list though. Finally, this deck actually has some sort of late game in its main cards, with 2 Ogre Conscripts, a card of great value, so thanks for adding that, Valve. Item wise, I don't really rate any of the non-basic ones we got here. Blade of the Vigil is probably the best one of them though. Moving on to blue-black, you should notice that it too caps out at 6 mana, and even then it has far fewer of these later game cards. Personally, that is why I think it will struggle to beat the Red-Green Brawler deck, as there really isn't any win condition to this deck. That being said, both of these decks are subpar, so if you're the better player, you'll almost definitely win no matter the matchup. Hero wise, I'm happy with this deck though. I love Necrophos. He's probably quite weak, but I personally think he's quite cool, so I've been wanting to try and make him work. I guess this is more of a bonus for me than the rest of you, but don't worry, we also get Skywrath Mage and Ogre Magi, who are definitely up there in the list of blue heroes that are some of the best, and certainly some of the easiest to include in any deck, which I think is very important for these early decks. Ogre Magi brings some consistent control, and the occasional chance to make your deck even higher value. And Skywrath is a brilliant support for other sources of damage, as well as offering a very easy use control card himself. Moving into the main deck, there are some very nice cards here that I will definitely use in my other decks. Relentless Zombie and Assassin's Apprentice are both good low mana creeps that can provide exactly what you need in certain scenarios. And having 1 Slay on board means you can deal with the crazy Emissary of Quorum or Thunderhide pack that your enemy happen to get in their 10 packs. Ironfell Goldmine and Aglody Vandal are both fantastic value cards, but the real talking point here is that we get 2 Foresights and 2 Dimensional Portals. These cards are staples in most blue decks, and we get 2 of each on launch day. meaning that the final one will be pretty cheap to attain too. We even got a Stonehall Cloak and a Keenfolk Musket to make the item deck list the better of the two starter decks. Now moving on to the next question. What game modes are available at launch? Well, there are many ways to play Artifact. Some modes require you to construct a deck from cards that you own. You can play these constructed modes against players in gauntlets, user-created tournaments, or casual one-off matches. When you play against bots, you can give the bot any deck, even one built with cards you do not own. There are also game modes that can be played regardless of which cards you personally own. You can challenge a friend to borrow any deck that they share from their collection. A special launch event will also feature access to powerful pre-constructed theme decks for playing against bots and other players, which is a great way to explore the cards and mechanics of the launch set. There are also draft modes, where you compete with other players in selecting cards from a series of booster packs. At launch, draft will be offered as gauntlets with prizes and entry fees. So no matter the way you play, Artifact will be ready for you at launch, which we already expected, but it's nice to see this clearly written in text. Constructed is as what you would expect. You can play in gauntlet type competitive matches, one-off games, user-created tournaments, and against bots. I do like that you can give the bot any deck though, even one you don't have the cards for, as it means you can prepare against meta decks using only the cards you have access to. Draft is also what we've already heard. There is an entry fee, prizes, and you can pick from a number of packs. We did a video covering this not too long ago, so go check that out if you need more information. One thing I didn't see coming though, was this friend challenge mode, where you can borrow decks from one another. This is a pretty cool feature and will certainly encourage you to buddy up, which is something that many card games lack for me. And finally, we have this launch game mode, where you'll have pre-constructed decks in an event that likely have a particular and cool way to win versus the other decks. I hope this becomes a regular thing in Artifact, and we get these event decks every now and again, perhaps even tied to holidays like Dota's old Diatide or Frostivus events. Moving on. What is in a card pack? You receive 10 packs of cards with your initial purchase of the game. Each pack contains 12 random cards from the Call to Arms set, including 1 hero, 2 items, and at least 1 card of the highest rarity. Additional packs can be purchased for $1.99. This one we kind of knew about already, but I think this is the first time we see the official name of the base set for Artifact, Call to Arms. Next question. What other ways can I get cards besides opening packs? Well, players can buy and sell individual cards via the community market. Groups of cards can be bought and sold on the marketplace in a single transaction using the in-game collection interface. See this link and you can go to the actual FAQ to go to that link for more information on the market. It basically just teaches you about the Steam market in general. So this basically confirms some people's greatest fear. There is no way for you to earn packs on the grind. You have to spend some sort of money to get new cards. But you do get a crazy amount of cards in each pack, so I'm not too worried about this. Something I am a little worried about though is the market. We expected a new integration of the Steam market that would make it easier to sell lots of cards, or perhaps removing the 200 item sale limit. It seems as though Valve's answer to this is to allow you to sell batches of cards as one item, but the chances of selling these would be far reduced to single card drops. I do not think this is the answer to that problem, but I equally don't think this will be the last time Valve tried to fix it. And in retrospect, this is quite a safe way of doing it for launch, and when they have more information on how the market needs to work in Artifact, they can better improve it. Next question. Will there be other ways to transfer ownership of cards besides the community market? Not at launch. Reaffirming what I just said. This isn't the last iteration to the problem of trading cards, but for now this is what they're comfortable doing. Now onto some Gauntlet stuff. What is Gauntlet? Gauntlets challenge player to win a number of matches before being knocked out due to losses. For example, win 5 games before you lose 2. Some gauntlets reward tickets and packs as prizes based on how many wins you achieve. These prize granting gauntlets require an event ticket to enter. So from one of the earlier questions, and what we hear from beta testers, we know that gauntlets will exist for constructed and draft modes. They will require tickets, 5 of which you get in the game in order to enter, and you will get prizes. It doesn't state that you'll have to win to get the prizes, so you might get a small prize even if you drop out straight away, just as you do in gauntlet types of matches in other games. So what are event tickets? Well, event tickets are used to enter events that can reward prizes. Event tickets are sold in bundles of 5 for $4.95. So each event ticket basically costs $1, and you get them in these batches of 5. So that's another $5 effectively free stuff that you're getting from the $20 you spend on the game. That makes it 2 decks of 54 cards apiece, 5 event tickets worth of $5, on top of the 10 card packs you're already paying your $20 for. That's some pretty awesome value if you ask me. The only thing to worry about here is that these competitive Gauntlet game modes are going to be behind a paywall, so you're going to have to pay every time you want to do this. I really hope that there's a different competitive outlet in the game moving forward. Not necessarily a ladder, but something you don't have to pay to partake in. But for now, this is what we're going to have. But I'm okay with that. I'll just grind in casual and play the odd tournament here and there. Next question. What types of gauntlets are available? At launch there will be gauntlets for constructed play, bring your own cards, Phantom Draft, where you keep the prizes but not the drafted cards, and Keeper Draft, where you keep the prizes and the drafted cards. Other Gauntlet modes will be available after launch. With 3 modes at launch, Gauntlet will be open to basically anyone. Something that has me a little perplexed though, is that the 2 draft types of Gauntlet, assumedly they both cost 1 event ticket, but the Phantom Draft only has prizes, where the Keeper Draft means you get the prizes and the cards you picked. My best guess is to balance this, that with the prizes would be better for the Phantom Draft, but depending on the prize you might get, it might be worth jumping into a Keeper Draft, even if you're just looking for particularly expensive cards. Hopefully this isn't an oversight on Valve's part, and they have done a good job so far, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. Next up, who can host a tournament, and who can join? Anyone can host a tournament, and when you create a tournament, you can choose to invite individual friends, or share an open public invitation. At launch, user-created tournaments don't support prizes or entry fees. I am super happy to see tournaments live for launch. Even if the in-game client doesn't support prizes or entry fees, I'm sure respectable organisations can use the client for the mechanics of the tournament, and then sort out fees and prizes through their own means. But this also allows absolutely anyone to start a tournament with their friends. Back in my days as a Dota 2 caster, the org I was working with had a sort of King of the Hill, Captain's Draft, mini tournament thing that we just played for fun with each other. I can't wait to replicate that type of friendship group competitive play in Artifact, and I think it will again encourage you to play with people rather than just against people, which is typically how card games feel. So what type of custom tournaments can I make? At launch, Swiss and single elimination formats are supported in a huge variety of configurations. You can also choose what types of cards are allowed. For example, you can create a commons only constructed tournament, or a tournament where all participations use the Call to Arms pre-constructed theme decks. Finally, they go over what types of tournaments are available. And basically, it seems like you can make any composition you want, outside of banning singular cards, as it would seem to state types of cards that you can choose from. Either way, an excellent addition to the game and something I'm going to spend a lot of time playing. And that is everything Valve have released in the RTFAQ. An absolutely insane announcement and I love every inch of it. As always, thanks for watching folks, and if you enjoyed the content, feel free to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. I have been Divok of the Artificers Guild, and I will see you next time.